And Teddy's nice enough to join us now, legendary trainer. Teddy, Michael, Don, and Peter, how are you today?
Good, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Is there any positive that could come out of this for Floyd Mayweather other than making a lot of money?
Yeah, he gets to 50-0, and he's got that even number.
Right.
It's a nice even number. It's a half a century mark. So, and I'm not being facetious. I'm not being a wise guy. I mean, that's what he gets out of it, and more money. And his middle name is Money Mayweather. And Matt, I mean, to get to the point, for real fights, they've made titles, like whether it was the Thrill in the Manila, the Rumble in the Jungle. I mean, this truly should be called easy money, because that's really what it is for Floyd. But, nobody's putting a gun to anybody's head. I think it's going to sell, but it's going to tweak the curiosity of people out there. The circus left town. I remember reading that a while back when the circus left. But in a way, the circus comes back, and there's certain sayings that really stand the test of time. Barnum and Bailey, the great promoter, said there's a sucker born every 2 minutes. And that's what you depend on for stuff. And again, I'm not knocking people. I'm not making fun of people. I'm just saying that's what it is. It's the same reason why people watch Jerry Springer. I mean, this is like watching Jerry Springer. Because you're hoping there's a part of your temperament that has a morbid curiosity, and you're watching it to see if the crazy cousins go nuts. And, you're watching this to see if something crazy happens. As far as an athletic venture, it's not competitive. It can't be. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, you got a guy who's a caveman versus an elite fighter who's a defensive genius. Now, if people want to make an argument and say, well, Teddy, in the UFC world, he's one of the better strikers. I don't give a damn. And I'm not knocking UFC people. I got all the respect. They're the toughest people in the world. But their skills are on the floor. Their skills are grappling, wrestling. Some of them were great wrestlers. Jiu-jitsu, the Gracies, all that stuff. But as far as standing and fighting for a living, no. You take the best striker, and he's not a Class C fighter. A Class C fighter would wax their floors with him. I mean, wouldn't even have a problem with him.
Now, you use the analogy of like Jerry Springer. It's like real journalists and news gatherers that do news shows cringe at that, cringe at the freak show of that. I mean, you're legitimately in boxing a legitimate sport to you. So when you see something like this that is sold just as a circus, does it make you cringe? Does it make you feel bad for the sport that you cover and love so much?
It bothers me. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. Boxing's been my whole life, and I think it's the greatest sport in the world. I mean, this is a sport that was the biggest sport in the country, bigger than baseball back in the day. And, I mean, it's got there's something special about it when two men get in the ring, and on any given night they get in the ring, and the world's always unfair. We understand that. And you could be born into poverty, you could be born into riches, and still the world can be unfair. But on one given night, you get a chance to make the world fair. That you can go in there if you're determined enough, if you're tough enough, if you're trained well enough, if you're prepared enough, if you're willing enough, you can be the best in the world. And when the fighters go in there, real fighters go in there, sometimes they come out with less of themselves than they go in there with. That's pretty noble. That's pretty special. That's pretty scary sometimes. And so when you put this twist into it, it bothers me. Because that's not what boxing is. Listen, do I understand the economics? Do I understand the business model of it? Yeah, of course I do. And I understand that everyone has a free will. They can do what they want. Yes, I understand it. But please, whether you're Dana White, and I'm not knocking Dana White. I know what he's doing. But whoever you are, you're McGregor, please, I've been in the sport my whole life. Don't get up there and tell me how he has a chance. Please don't do that. You insult me. Don't get up there and say he's got a puncher's chance. Canelo didn't have a puncher's chance. He couldn't hit him. He's a top pro fighter. Pacquiao didn't have a puncher's chance. He couldn't touch him. Madonna, who's a free swinger. Maybe this guy's a free swinger. Maybe I get lucky. Madonna, who does that and can punch and does it with pro fighters, top fighters, he couldn't do anything to him. So please, don't tell me that. It's insulting.
Do you see it as a
Okay, we know that there's relatively no chance that Conor McGregor wins. But if somehow something freakish happens, Floyd gets hurt, whatever ends up happening, it doesn't, and it's somehow the unbelievable happens. How big of a hit do you think it would be on boxing, which has been, at least in the mainstream eye, because there have been great fights. There's a great fight this weekend, Ward Kovalev. There are great fights happening, but they're not being talked about in the mainstream. How big of a black eye would that be, no pun intended, on boxing if somehow it happened?
Yeah, you could use the word devastating, but you know, there's a difference between being devastating in one way economically and the fan base, and another way as far as the integrity of the sport, the credibility of the sport, the realness of the sport. I mean, when we had a huge pay-per-view match, the biggest of all time, with Pacquiao and Mayweather, I mean, it was healthy for the sport. The sport was relevant again. I mean, everyone was talking about the sport. And then when it turned out to be a flop, it hurt the sport. It hurt the sport in an economic way, where other fighters coming down the pike can't sell their pay-per-view, where a lot of fans start to go, you know, away from it a little bit. So that hurts the sport. This would be a different thing. The sport is thought of as one of the most credible sports in the world. It's been around longer than any other sport. You could trace it back 200 years. So when you're talking about the machoism of any athletic venture, of any athlete, you're talking about, you know, a mono type existence that's out there in competition. You're talking about boxing. And now if you have a UFC guy Teddy Atlas calls him a caveman. And again, I'm not trying to knock him, but his skills are primitive, compared to Floyd's. If he was to go in there and legitimately win the fight, obviously that would hurt. I mean, some people would say, well, Floyd was 42 years old, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we put it forward that he was the great representative of this great sport, boxing. So obviously, I mean, it would be, I guess the same as if LeBron James got beat by a kid out of preschool, or high school, or a high school team came and beat the Golden State Warriors. I mean, it's the same thing. But again, you can't, as I say these words and they come out into your speakers there and the audience hears it, that can't happen.
Now, what can happen, though, Teddy, I was wondering about this, and I mentioned it yesterday. We know that Floyd is an unbelievable defensive fighter. Unbelievable. You can't touch him. The greatest fighters can't touch him. He doesn't have a real heavy punch. So my question to you, Teddy Atlas, is this. If McGregor somehow survives 12 rounds, is that a black eye for boxing?
Yeah, it is. And listen, I'm not going to stand I'm not going to say in the middle of the fence and say, I don't. No, yeah, it is. But I could, and it's not an impossibility. I mean, I don't think it's going to go rounds, but it's not an impossibility because you touched on it. Really, the truth is that, forget about McGregor for a second. Floyd doesn't make the most exciting fights. He's terrific. He's great. I love him. He doesn't make great fights. He takes the air out of the ball. That's what he does. He's very conservative. He's very safety first. So if this guy doesn't go out there and throw caution to the wind, if he doesn't go kamikaze style, which a lot of people think he's going to, and which they want to tell you and the audience and everyone out there it's going to happen, so people buy it. But I don't think that's his best bet, and I wouldn't suggest that he do it. I would not advise him to do that. But if he does that, then Floyd counterpunches, the fight's over. I mean, he's just putting himself into the paper shredder. But Floyd, as we said, he's going to lay back. He's not going to go after you. He's not a seek and destroy guy. And if McGregor doesn't do that, yeah, this could stretch out. Yeah, this could be the old Dean Smith, North Carolina basketball in college, where you had the four corners defense, and we forget how boring basketball could be at times. Yeah, it could go back to that. And the funny thing is, funny you brought that up. They're going to sell, this primitive guy, the caveman coming out there, and anything can happen. But I've watched a couple of McGregor's fights because I have to talk about it. And his biggest wins, those big sensational knockouts, he didn't go get you. He counterpunched.
Right.
His mentality, he's a genius. He's a promotional genius. I'm not saying he's my... He's in that neighborhood. Gorgeous George, Bruno Sammartino, the wrestling people, but he is a smart guy. And when he's in that ring, when he fought his biggest fights, he laid back. He took a step back. He drew the guy in. Bang! He caught him with a counterpunch. So he's got the same mentality. People are probably saying, I can't believe Teddy Atlas is saying this, but he's got a similar mentality to Floyd Mayweather.
So then it could go wild then if they both do that. Teddy, we thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.